Hello, good and wonderful people. Welcome back again. It's your girl, AB World Entertainment. Today, I'm going to be showing a video of Dino Melaye. He speak about President Muhammadu Buhari for denying the invitation given to him by the the Senate the senators and the lawmakers. Okay, so before I'll be bringing the video to you, my good and wonderful country people, for people to know what is going on in Nigeria for the past how many days, let me first and foremost hail the full house first. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Depends on the time you guys are watching me from. How is everyone doing? I hope you all are doing great. Please, if today happens to be the very first time of coming across this video, or you have been watching, you have not subscribed, please kindly hit the subscribe button and so also hit the notification bell. By doing so, God bless you. So my new subscriber, you all are welcome to this wonderful family, and to my returning subscriber, you are welcome every time, any day. Thank you so much for coming back to watch all my video. I so much appreciate you all. God bless you all for me in Jesus name, amen. So my good and wonderful people, I will not take much of your time. I just want you to watch it from beginning to the end to see how Dino Melaye spoke the truth about President Muhammadu Buhari, who he really is. You understand? So let's go there, guys.
An executive interview with Arise, a director of a private military company that was engaged by the Goodluck Jonathan administration, speaks up about the involvement of mercenaries in the fight against Boko Haram in northeast Nigeria. This is just as former Ghanaian President John Mahama rejects the results of the just concluded election that saw incumbent President Nana Akufo-Addo get re-elected for a second term. And the federal government orders the reopening of COVID-19 isolation centers nationwide as Nigeria is confronted with a second wave of the pandemic. Exactly one day before he was to honor an invitation by the House of Representatives to address lawmakers on what his administration was doing to combat rising insecurity, President Muhammadu Buhari walked back on his promise last week. His decision was backed by a statement from the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami SAN, who stated that the Constitution does not confer the power to summon the President on the National Assembly. The minister's position drew mixed reactions from a cross-section of Nigerians, including the Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege, who supported the minister, while the House Minority Caucus and some lawyers differed. The invitation extended to the president was a fallout of a motion moved by Honorable Satomi Ahmed on behalf of 10 other Borno State federal lawmakers on December 1 to invite President Buhari and to, amongst other things, declare a state of emergency on some areas to tackle the worsening insecurity in northern Nigeria. Joining us now to speak on the legality or otherwise of this summons is a former member of the House of Representatives and also the Senate, Senator Dino Melaye. Welcome to the show, Senator Dino Melaye. Thank you for joining us on This Day Live. Hello, Senator Melaye.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. My pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you had my introduction. And the big issue here is the president no longer appearing on Thursday as expected before the House of Representatives. He having been personally invited after a resolution of the House by the Speaker himself, who went to the villa. We were told that members of your party, the People's Democratic Party, had arranged to heckle and embarrass the president. That was one reason that was given. But the other reason was given by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN, who said that the House of Representatives or the Senate do not have any constitutional powers to invite the President of Nigeria or summon him to come and explain whatever. There is an altercation. There are different views amongst lawyers in that regard. But what do you think, as someone who has been in both chambers of the National Assembly?
Anyway, I will start by saying that it is ridiculous that the Attorney General of the Federation or any lawyer will actually support the wicked stand that the National Assembly lack powers to summon the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I mean, that is, to me, very ridiculous and unacceptable. And one will say that this is not the first time that the President is disobeying the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For example, Section 217, 218, and 219 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have said that the President cannot carry out operational use of the armed forces without the approval of the National Assembly. In fact, specifically Section 219B is very, very specific in that regard. So one will now be very surprised to see that all these actions were taken without the approval of the National Assembly in that regard. And ab initio, you should also remember that the President had agreed earlier to appear before the National Assembly. What is the President afraid of? Some people are going to boo you, some people are going to mock you, some people are going to... That is completely irrelevant. That does not have any hold constitutionally or by any of our extant laws in this country. The powers of the National Assembly to summon is sacrosanct, it's not debatable, and this is the first time I'm hearing this. Trump, as cantankerous as he is, he was invited by the U.S. Congress, and he appeared before them. And if you have nothing to hide, or there are no clandestine motives, there are no ulterior motives, there's no reason why the President will not appear before the National Assembly to explain or answer questions from the National Assembly, because you are president and you are elected to serve. And I recall that the president had the Quran on his right hand, had the Constitution of the Federal Republic on his left, and he swore to uphold that Constitution. And today it is regrettable that this is happening. And I hope the National Assembly will exercise their powers. I hope the Speaker of the House of Representatives will go to court and ask the court an order of mandamus or to ask for interpretation in the Supreme Court on this very particular issue. But it is very disgraceful. It is unacceptable in any democratic climate.
But Senator Melaye, I mean, what do you think of the argument that this came about as a resolution of the House of Representatives? And a resolution does not have, it's not backed by any binding force. In other words, there's no way the House of Representatives can enforce it. So it comes down not even to law, but to the discretion of the president. And, some commentators have said in the past, when other presidents were similarly invited, they refused to go, and there is nothing to it. So if the president has exercised his discretion, are we not just merely raising moral issues?
It is not true. There are no moral issues here. And even if you are talking of morality, the president should, on moral grounds, respect the institution of the National Assembly as a Democrat to respond to their clarion call. The powers of someone of the National Assembly, I have repeatedly said it is very, very clear. Section 88(1) of the 1999 Constitutions has given the National Assembly powers by resolution published in its journal or official gazette of the Federation to direct, cause, or be directed investigation on any matter whatsoever. That's what Section 81, Section 88(1) of the Constitution says. He said on any matter, once by resolution, it is reflected in the journal or it is reflected in the hazard of the National Assembly. So what they are conducting is also investigation, but they want to hear from the president. So whether it is by resolution or it is by mere pronouncement, once it is an agreement of any of the chambers of the National Assembly, the National Assembly is empowered by that provision of Section 88(1) to summon any persons in furtherance of, or rather in line with their investigative powers as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. So it is it's not, there's no ambiguity at all. It is just because we have irresponsible leadership. We have leadership that is, what is the essence of the National Assembly? As an independent arm of government. We have been talking about separation of powers. Is it right for any president in a democracy to ridicule the entire institution of the National Assembly? And unfortunately, the National Assembly have kept, they've not done what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, some of us are not there to make sure that this institution is not ridiculed, rubbished by the executive. Well, I've said it many times. I'm not saying the National Assembly should be enemies with the executive, but they are by design not the president. If you say they have no powers of summon, then what is their primary constitutional role?
Well, Senator Melaye, but I mean, it's a
so if you have nothing to hide, if you have nothing to fear, even morally speaking, no responsible presidents have powers to decline invitation of the National Assembly. Not to talk of being empowered by the provisions of Section 88.1. And that 88.1 is not written in Okun language. It's not written in Fulani. It is clear and unambiguous. So I'm surprised that lawyers who have gone through law school, who understand the letters and words in English, will give some satanic interpretation, some wicked, nefarious interpretation to that provision. It is not acceptable. In a proper democracy, it is not acceptable. And that is why I say, because of the refusal of the president to appear, what we are practicing in this country is not democracy. That's not government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Because the representatives of the people are inviting you and you are saying no. What we are practicing is greediocracy. Government of the greedy, by the greedy, and for the greedy. Well, there is no reason why anyone should defend the president. There's no reason why anybody should protect the president. The president, as a Democrat, as one who was elected by the people, must face the people when they ask questions.
Well, Senator Melaye, I'm surprised you have...
And this is not only to the National Assembly. When last did the president speak to the media? When last did the president engage the media in a question and answer? You are defending the president from going to commission projects. You are defending him from going to interact with media. You are defending him even from communing with the citizens who elected him into power. We didn't elect a president who should remain in the corridors of his comfort in the villa.
Anyway, Senator Melaye, let's move on. You refer to Okun language. Many of our viewers will be wondering what that is, because Section 51 of the Nigerian Constitution recognizes only 3 languages. Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa language, but that's just by the way. But I would like to ask you, the PDP caucus in the House of Representatives...
Ruben, I would advise that you learn how to...
Go ahead.
I was saying, Ruben, that I would advise that you learn how to speak open language, because that is what will be spoken in heaven. So you won't be deaf and dumb when you get there.
Anyway, I'm just quoting the Nigerian Constitution. Anyway, I mean, the PDP caucus in the House of Representatives is now asking that, the president should be impeached. Isn't that heating up the polity over small matter of the president not appearing before the House of Reps? Or maybe security matters that requires bipartisan approach. The president have
committed sacrilegious infringements that demand instantaneous impeachment. So the PDP is not just frivolously asking the president to be impeached. I'm saying that apart from the issue of the National Assembly, apart from the issue of refusal to come to the National Assembly, the president have committed arrays of infractions of our constitution, our bylaws, that he ought to have left that place long time ago. So the call by the PDP for the impeachment of the president is not frivolous. There are concrete constitutional grounds that have been broken. There are concrete bylaws that have been abused. And the president ought to have, the call for his impeachment ought to have been, clearly, a long time ago. If I were in the National Assembly, I have grounds over a year ago to call for the impeachment of Mr. President. Well, so it is not frivolous.
Well, what has led to all of this is the security situation in the country. Farmers who were killed in Zabamari in Jere local government in Borno State. And then there was also the problem of the NSAS protest and all of that. Only yesterday, 54 students, we were told, were kidnapped at the Science Secondary School in Katanka in Katsina State on a day when the president himself arrived for a holiday. But we should be talking about solutions. What are your thoughts on the NSAS protests and police brutality? And what do you think that the federal government of Nigeria should do in terms of resolving the security crisis that we have in the country?
The truth of the matter is that, Ruben, you cannot give what you don't have. The president have demonstrated grossly and continuously that he's incapacitated. He doesn't have what it takes to take us out of our insecurity problem in this country. And shamefully, this is coming from, this incapacitation is coming from a retired general of the Nigerian army. And you will recall that the president himself called for the impeachment of Jonathan, who is a civilian and a zoologist, for incapacitation to handle security matters that was not even this grievous. So now that we have lost absolute control of security in this country, nobody is secured. Abuja, that is the federal capital, they go from police station to police station. There are cases of kidnap, cases of robbery, cases of different crimes everywhere. How can the president be in a state and within the perimeter of that state, the president is in that state, and people will go to a school and kidnap, students with the president in that state? And this is the state of Mr. President. The kidnappers are not even afraid of Mr. President. They're not afraid of his presence in Katsina to perpetuate this crime. It shows that the president have lost complete capacity to solve the problem of insecurity in this country. And the most decent thing to do is to quit, because if you cannot do it, you cannot continue to force yourself to be there. So the truth of the matter is that the solution to this problem, since the president has no temerity, he has no capacity to fire the service chiefs, he has no ability to carry out an operational correction in our armed forces. In a football field, my brother, you are using a particular player and he's not giving you results. You must substitute that player. He has played more than 10 matches, no goal, and you are still fielding him. You are not substituting him. Then automatically the coach is sick. So what we are saying in essence is that the president, like I said earlier, swore before God and man and to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the most potent part of that Constitution is the security of lives and property. And he has failed grossly, F9 parallel, in this regard. So the solution is for the president to leave, for people who have capacity, who have the capacity to correct this insecurity, to come up. We are not seeing any amelioration. We are not seeing any correction. There is no palliation. There is no restructuring of the security architecture of this country. There is no rejigging of the security architecture in this country. There is no motivation even or hope that this will get better.
Well, Senator Melaye.
So the solution is just for the president to excuse us.
Well, Senator Melaye.
He's overwhelmed. Buhari is overwhelmed.
Well, Senator Melaye, what happened in Kankara in Katsina State yesterday, it's a clear indication that everyone is involved in this problem. And the APC has accused your party, the PDP, of politicizing the security situation in the country. And one of the spokespersons of the APC pointed to the fact that during the NSAS protests, PDP leaders were clandestinely encouraging the protesters. I want your thoughts on those two subjects also.
Anyway, I will start by asking that which of the APC, because they are in faction now. One said is the chairman has gone to court. There's a caretaker committee. So I don't even know which faction of the APC you are talking about. But in excess, all these are concampo stories. What is the response? Is the PDP chairman the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, or is the national organizing secretary the chief of army staff, or is our spokesperson, Kola Ologbondiyan, is he the chief of air staff? So in what way are we politicizing the insecurity in the country? We are saying that the ball stops at the president's table. And if the president have persistently shown gross incompetence in solving this problem, then it should give way to people who have capacity to do so. We cannot continue. The Bible says you cannot continue in sin and ask grace to abound. So if gross incompetence, if capital demonstration of failure has been shown, we should not, in the words of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, continue to reinforce failure. The only thing is for you to give way for people who have the intellectual and strategy to combat the problem. So should PDP, because it's a political party, keep quiet when Nigerians are dying? Should PDP, what is our job as an opposition? What is our function as an opposition?
Finally, encouraging the protesters. I want your thoughts on those two subjects also.
Anyway, I will start by asking that which of the APC, because they are in faction now. One said is the chairman has gone to court. There's a caretaker committee. So I don't even know which faction of the APC you are talking about. But in excess, you know, all these are con-campus stories. I mean, what is the response? Is the PDP chairman the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, or is the national organizing secretary the chief of army staff, or is our spokesperson, Kola Ologbondiyan, is he the chief of air staff? So in what way are we politicizing the insecurity in the country? We are saying that the ball stops at the president's table. And if the president have persistently shown gross incompetence in solving this problem, then it should give way to people who have capacity to do so. We cannot continue. The Bible says you cannot continue in sin and ask grace to abound. So if gross incompetence, if capital demonstration of failure has been shown, we should not, in the words of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, continue to reinforce failure. The only thing is for you to give way for people who have the intellectual and strategy to combat the problem. So should PDP, because it's a political party, keep quiet when Nigerians are dying? Should PDP, what is our job as an opposition? What is our function as an opposition party, if not to right the wrongs of to errad the righting of the wrongs in the society, if not to ask for the correction of anomalies? So they want us to be mute, like every other person has been boxed into a corner in this country. But in an unjust society, silence is a crime. We're not going to keep quiet. We'll continue to speak until the right thing is done, irrespective of whose else is God. After this interview, I may get invited by the SSS or police. I'm not afraid of them. And I want to tell you that Nigeria is the only country we have. We will not keep quiet. We will continue to ask questions. We'll continue to ask that the right thing be done until it is done. But immediately you point a wrong in this country. Immediately you signal that this is not right. The label is you are politicizing insecurity. Is PDP responsible for this insecurity in the country? Or have we in the history of this country experienced this type of catastrophe in this country before? Look at the value of Naira to dollar. Economy is in shambles. Unfortunately, all the managers of the economy under the Buhari administration, not even one of them, not one is an economist. If you give carpentry job to a tailor, it will never perform. So it is not only the issue of insecurity. The economy is in trouble. Insecurity, wahala, food and hunger. There's no sector that is doing well under the Buhari APC-led administration. The country is in total disorder. We are on autopilot. We are flying without direction. And no single person is in charge of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we have not seen anybody demonstrating capacity to show direction. Everybody is doing what they like. The Minister of Information will say something in the morning. The another minister will say something contrary in the afternoon. There is no coordination in the Buhari's government. It's like driving a trailer without a steering.
Where's Senator Melaye?
This can be dangerous.
Senator Melaye.
And you want a political party, the main opposition party in Nigeria, to keep quiet, to be deaf and dumb. Because you don't want any opposition. You don't want credible opposition in this country. That cannot happen.
Senator Melaye, many of our viewers will say, yes, they expect you to criticize the APC. But there are persons who also say that the PDP is no better. Look at it. You are criticizing the APC, but we have had high-profile defections from the PDP to the APC, the Ebonyi governor. Others joined them. In Rivers State, some people have also left the PDP to go to the APC. Even within your own party, the governor of Rivers State is condemning the National Working Committee of the party, saying that that National Working Committee or the leadership of the party does not appear to be serious about playing its role as an opposition party or even winning the election in 2023. So what moral right does anybody in APC have to condemn the PDP, to condemn the APC?
I think what you have just done, Bro Ruben Apati, is comparing malaria with cancer. The PDP may have our own issues, just like even in churches there are problems. In mosques, there are problems. Everywhere, there's nowhere you will gather human beings that there will be no division or there will be no one or two disagreements. But that does not make PDP any, to even have 10% of the cancerous disease that APC is carrying. And all these issues you have mentioned are just superficial issues. People, human beings by nature are egocentric, they are selfish, they think of self. Why didn't the Ebonyi governor decamp in his first term in office and see if he will win a second term? Why did he decide to decamp in his second term when he knows that all is over? Why didn't he decamp in his first term and see if he will be able to win a second time in Ebonyi with APC? But for selfish and egocentric interests, many people are saying they are decamping. Decamping to which party? Party that is already celebrated their political obituary. APC is gone. Why didn't they conduct their convention in December as agreed? If they had conducted their convention this December, if they had appointed or elected a chairman of a party, that would have been the end, the political obituary of APC. That's why they dodged and extended the lifespan of the caretaker committee. Any day they conduct a convention, that marks the end of that party. Today there are more than 4 factions of APC. And these factions, everyone is sticking onto its gun. In the next few weeks, you will see what will happen with the different coat of many colors operating in the APC. But the PDP, the call by Wike is not out of order. Any responsible member of a party, if he sees that something is not going on right, can call for correction. That does not mean that Wike is condemning the PDP. It's only encouraging us as a party to take our role as opposition more seriously. It's only gingering the National Working Committee and encouraging them to play their role as opposition and then be serious about taking power in 2023. It doesn't mean it's outright condemnation of his party or he's saying that his party have not, but you cannot even compare PDP and APC at all. In fact, darkness and light don't concur at all.
Well, Senator Melaye, let's talk about some other issues. Recently, you were an observer, I guess, during the supplementary elections. You were in Zamfara State to monitor the election. And only yesterday, there was also local government elections in Kogi State. The chairperson of the State Electoral Commission has said, what happened in Kogi State yesterday with local council elections was very successful and was excellent. So we keep having these elections, supplementary elections, and also local council elections. What's your take so far about the supplementary and by-elections conducted by INEC, and with regard to INEC, the return of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu for a second term, which is quite historic? What do you think should be his priorities going forward? And then the general conduct of elections, including what happened in your state yesterday.
Anyway, I was an observer truly in the election in Zamfara State, and I will give a lot of credit to the governor of Zamfara State. He did wonderfully well, and I am happy the way he maturedly conducted himself and his officials during the election, and I'm talking of appointees in government. And that election was won by the PDP. They asked for a supplementary one that was conducted on Wednesday, and the PDP won that election clearly. And that's a demonstration of the fact that the era of Buhari's popularity in the north is over. Because if you see the gap between APC and PDP in that election, you will know that APC is completely gone in northern Nigeria. Anywhere we're going to have credible elections in the north, APC cannot have a headway. The Zamfara election was a good one, and the governor did his best to make sure that they are not muzzled out of power and office, because there was a lot of attempts, federal might, police. The number of police I saw in Zamfara, including soldiers, scared me for one House of Assembly election. But the people were resolute, they were determined, they defended their votes, and at the end of the day, victory was that of the PDP. But for the election, local government election in Kogi yesterday, I will remember the word of God that said that can anything good come out of Nazareth? Because the truth of the matter is that there was no election in Kogi yesterday. The election was a virtual, it's actually a virtual election. It was not a real election. And some of us, maybe Ayabelu forgot to give us the app to log into participating in the election. Because I can tell you that Aito Rugbede, where I come from, Ward 1 and 2, Aito Rugbede community, not one polling unit. Anyone speaking out of ignorance or over spirituality is ignorant. It is real. We should observe these protocols. We should wear our mask. We should observe the social distancing and all the protocols as enshrined in the WHO and the NCDC. We must, because the second wave seems to be stronger, and I mean, it's killing within a very 1 day, 2 days. You just see somebody is gone. You know, it's not even giving room for you to struggle to have. Just this second wave there's a peculiarity with it, and I think please people should take it seriously, and all of us should adjust.
Well, Senator Melaye, as I try to wrap up, let me go back to the issue of security. I asked you earlier on about NSAS protests, police brutality. I don't remember that you commented on that. I wanted your thoughts on government's reaction to the protests. And I would also like you to comment briefly on the situation across the country, particularly in the north, where northern leaders are saying insecurity is even a more serious problem in the northern part of the country. Today, the coalition of northern groups, I guess, is leading protests in Katsina against the abduction of school children yesterday in Kankara, Katsina State. Beyond saying the president should sack the service chiefs, what concrete things should we do? State police, perhaps?
Yeah, I will start by saying that the NSAS thing was a very progressive move. Responsible Nigerians were unified in that regard. And I want to say that I support those who came out legitimately and asking for corrections of the negativities in this country, though it was hijacked by hoodlums, and these hoodlums sponsored definitely by governments and those in power. And that is not a solution to the problem, because the truth of the matter is that no government can stop the freedom of Nigerians to protest. No government can take away that power. Government is trying to instill fear, is trying to intimidate, but that cannot stop the people, because when the time comes, the people will always speak, and they will speak loudly. So I commend young Nigerians who actually came out for the NSAS protest. It was a very progressive, it was the most progressive move I have seen by the youths of this country, and it was done in the right manner before it was hijacked by hoodlums, and definitely sponsored by government. And it's a big shame that it ended that way. And if government is not careful, if you don't take care of those demands by the NSAS group, definitely there will be more NSAS. There will be more protests in this country. There will be. You cannot stiffen the people. Power truly belongs to the people. Government is not owned by those in government. Government is owned by the people. And it is an absurdity. Government is supposed to be afraid of the people, not for the people to be afraid of government. No. Those in power are less than 3% of the population. They cannot stiffen 97% of the population. So if you have temporary relief and you are refusing to visit the demands of the NSAS people, cup go full. One day, monkey will go market and it will come back. It will still happen. And it may happen in a larger, bigger dimension. And for the issue of insecurity in the North, I think the governors of the North should stop playing politics and wake up to their responsibility. We know it is the responsibility of the federal government in charge of the police and the army. But the governors are not helping because they are APC governments. They cannot actually come out to cry out the way they are supposed to. They cannot challenge the presidency. They cannot challenge the army. They cannot challenge the Minister of Defense. They cannot, because they are APC members, some of them cannot even speak. But the truth of the matter is that we should not play politics with the lives of Nigerians.
Well, quite correct.
We should not play politics with the life of Nigerians.
I'm sure everyone will agree with you on that note.
Very seriously, not only in the North, in the length and breadth of Nigeria. Insecurity is everywhere in this country. The governors have a role to play, and the most potent ameliorative measure today is for the creation of state police. There's no alternative to it. We should not debate it left, right, center. Two things must happen. We must sit down as Nigerians to discuss. We must, as Nigerians, sit down to discuss. Whether you call it anything, I don't care the name we are going to give to it, but we must decide to be Nigerians. We must sit down and decide to be Nigerians. And the issue of the creation of state police, it is not debatable.
Well, thank you very much.
We come back to it. And I think this is the time the government should take it seriously.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Dino Melaye, for joining us on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show today. Thank you very much indeed. We'll take a short break now. When we return, This Day Live, the Sunday talk show will continue. Don't go away.